Good evening. Welcome to APTN National News Weekend. I'm Dennis Ward. A Winnipeg homicide. Investigators have identified the woman whose remains were found along the bank of the Red River on April 15th. The hunt continues now for whoever killed 40-year-old June Christine Johnson. A warning to our viewers, some details in this story may be upsetting. Here's Leanne Sanders with more.
Sergeant Wade McDonald of the Homicide Division revealed few details about the ongoing investigation. He wouldn't say how or where Johnson was killed, but confirmed she was dismembered before being left near the Red River in downtown Winnipeg. He says over 60 forensics and homicide investigators have pored over hours of data trying to establish a timeline of what happened to Johnson. She was last seen alive in downtown Winnipeg in February 2023. Johnson's family provided a statement to police, and McDonald read it during today's news conference.
Prior to her addiction, June was loving, devoted mom who loved her children deeply. She loved hard, and family was of great importance to her. June had a great sense of humor, was very outgoing, and we are going to cherish our good times and memories with her. Sadly, addiction took over all aspects of her life, and we lost her in this very tragic way.
McDonald said police have been in contact with Johnson's family since 2 days after the remains were discovered. The family and police are appealing for information from the public on anything that may help find Johnson's killer. Winnipeg police confirm that Johnson, who according to her family was not Indigenous, had previously gone missing on Christmas Eve 2020, but was found safe 2 days later. Leanne Sanders, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Anyone with information is encouraged to call Winnipeg Police Homicide Unit at 204-986-6508 or Crime Stoppers at 204-786-TIPS. A growing list of issues are causing serious concern for a First Nation in the Yukon. Now they're calling on the territorial government to help them by declaring a state of emergency. Our reporter Sarah Connors tells us why.
The Ross River Dene Council in Ross River, Yukon is facing crisis, and it wants all the help it can get.
You know, we're worried here in Kaskakea. We're hitting alarms now so that we could address some of these issues.
On Friday, the First Nation passed a by-council resolution declaring a state of emergency. Its chief says many issues are impacting the community of 350 people. Perhaps the most pressing is the disappearance of 40-year-old Ramona Peter almost 3 weeks ago.
It's just affecting everybody in the community, and we're just hoping to find her.
Other issues include a surge of predatory drug dealers and bootleggers preying on vulnerable community members.
See, we're losing too much people to drugs and alcohol, and it's becoming an emergency.
Loblaw says the First Nation needs Yukon government's help to provide extra resources, like more boots on the ground when it comes to searching for Peter.
So these governments have these fiduciary obligations, and we feel like they're not being met adequately.
A spokesperson for Yukon government says Premier Ranj Pillay is taking the situation seriously. Pillay is meeting with the First Nation next week and has offered to assist with federal coordination. Chief Loblaw is hopeful commitment from the government will help provide a happy, healthy, and safe future for his people.
We'd like to see more of our people out there being who they are as Dene, and not being, pulled down by community issues.
Sarah Connors, APTN National News, Whitehorse.
A Mi'kmaq family is outraged after their loved one died of pneumonia while in custody in a Nova Scotia provincial jail. They're calling for a public inquiry and filing a lawsuit against the province. Angel Moore reports.
Kathy Denny went on this MMIWG walk in Sydney, Unama'ki recently, but this year something was missing. Her daughter, Sarah.
It feels different, a little void.
Sarah Denny of the Eskasoni First Nation was 36 years old and a mother of 2 when she died on March 26 of double pneumonia, 5 days after she began a 5.5-month sentence at the Central Nova Scotia Correctional Facility, known as Burnside, for violating house arrest. Kathy is calling for a public inquiry. She wants to know why her daughter did not receive medical treatment.
What's going on there? Why did my daughter die? What needs to be improved in their services?
Sarah was staying at her mom's house under house arrest for 6 months for an assault conviction. But Kathy was diagnosed last August with terminal cancer and says Sarah had the flu. So because of those reasons, Sarah was staying with her boyfriend, which breached her conditions.
She wanted to change her address to over there, but her probation officer didn't let her. But she kept getting sick, and she was afraid to get me sick.
Kathy says when police arrested Sarah on Sunday, March 19th, she told them Sarah was sick.
She might have COVID, or she might be septic. She needs to see a doctor. And the officer told me, okay, we'll take care of that.
The last time Kathy spoke to her daughter was on Tuesday, March 21st, when Sarah called from Burnside.
Did you see the doctor yet? And she goes, no, not yet.
On Sunday, March 26, police came to Kathy's house.
They knocked on the door and said, what's going on? Sarah died. He looked at me and Sarah died. I said, what?
Irina Whitall, Sarah's older sister, is devastated.
No one should be burying their little sister. She's supposed to bury us.
Kathy says drumming helps Sarah cope with mental illness and addictions. Kathy has now picked up Sarah's drum and will fight for a public inquiry.
And we're going to scream and complain and write letters to everybody that can listen to us.
Emma Halpern of the Elizabeth Fry Society says when there is a death of a person in custody in Nova Scotia, the Department of Justice conducts an internal review, and the findings are kept private. Halpern says that is problematic.
No one ever learns about what happened and how we can prevent this type of horrific death from happening again.
Halpern says Sarah did not belong in Burnside.
It just really forces the question of, you know, how are we failing Indigenous people so much still after everything that we know? Because we know so much better. We do know so much better.
Kathy says doctors gave her 6 months to live. It is now 8 months, and she says she will fight to the end to find out what happened to Sarah.
If I pass away next week, next month, doesn't matter. I have a large family that is willing to pick up this drum. They want changes too. My family is angry. Her friends are angry. We want changes, and we want an inquiry.
Before she passed away, Sarah gave her oldest son, Chase, a piece of advice.
I remember her telling me that she wants me to be better than her. She's like, son, promise that you'll be better than me. I was like, all right, I'll do my best.
The Nova Scotia Department of Justice said in an email statement to APTN News they cannot comment due to privacy. Angel Moore, APTN National News, Eskasoni First Nation.
Fires are devastating parts of Western Canada, and a Métis firefighter is clinging on for his life. More on that after the break. Welcome back. With dozens of out-of-control fires in BC, Alberta and Saskatchewan, many communities are experiencing poor air quality over the past week. Calgary has seen an air quality health index of 10+, the highest level that can be given. This week, Edmonton activated an extreme weather response for air quality for the first time. Edmonton has experienced an air quality index of 7 or higher for days, and the smoke is traveling east and south to Manitoba, Ontario, and the U.S. University of Alberta professor Dr. Doris Sturdivant says it can be dangerous to be outside when air quality is so low.
Anyone who is outside at 10+ may experience certain symptoms that are attributed to the poor air quality. So they may experience irritation to their eyes, nose, and throat. People may have coughing or wheezing, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing. So really at 10+, we're recommending that everyone stay indoors.
Meanwhile, a longtime firefighter has been seriously injured while trying to save homes in the East Prairie Métis settlement in Alberta. APTN's Chris Stewart spoke to a family member about his status.
Frankie Payu has been a firefighter for 14 years. But this fire was different. It made its way onto the East Prairie Métis settlement, and he defended his home and family against it. When it got too close, he told his pregnant girlfriend Melody to take their 3 kids to safety. Their youngest, a 7-month-old, was still recovering from kidney surgery 3 days prior. Frankie stayed to fight the fire. Jessica Superno is Melody's cousin.
Frankie had done everything that he could to try to save their house by cat guarding it and spraying his house down. And in that time, he went over to help another house, and within that 15 minutes, their house had burned.
After hearing their house burned down, Jessica started a GoFundMe for Frankie and his family. On May 14th, Frankie was cutting down a burned tree when it crashed down on his head and shoulders. He was taken to hospital and later airlifted to the University Hospital in Edmonton. His injuries were extensive. He remains in a coma.
He had liver and kidney damage, broken ribs, and they were waiting for a spinal surgeon to come and see how bad his C7 in his spine was, how badly fractured it was.
That makes the GoFundMe even more important. More bills are expected. Jessica says donations and prayers are helping, but they are far from their goal.
They've lost everything. They have nothing left. So they lost their home that they owned, and that's gonna take quite a bit, and just being able to raise their family is gonna take quite a bit.
Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Edmonton.
Now to British Columbia, where a single mother of 4 spent a Mother's Day she and her family will never forget. APTN's Tina House has their story.
It's so much. I feel like I'm going through a death over and over and over again. Karen Moraes is overcome with emotion as she surveys the charred remains of what was just days ago her beautiful family home. It all started around 9 p.m. this past Sunday, which was Mother's Day, when one of her daughters, whose bedroom was at the back of the house, noticed her closed blinds on her window light up orange in color.
Yeah, my daughter ran out of her room, ran down the hallway, banged on my door and said our house is on fire. And I got out of bed, I ran downstairs, I told the kids call 911, I opened the back door and saw the gazebo where the hot tub was in flames in the backside. By the time my daughter, Madison, woke up, she thought it was hail, and it was actually the flames hitting her window.
Moraes says she tried to use a fire extinguisher to put out the flames, but within minutes, the fire spread quickly. She told her 4 kids to grab their pets and leave the house immediately. The flames consumed not only their house, but 3 other houses nearby. In total, 11 people made it out safely, but everyone lost everything they owned. And for single mom Karen, it's devastating.
We just had the clothes on our backs, which I was in pajamas. I was ready for bed, so I'm wearing donated clothes that someone dropped off at our door in our hotel. I'm still in the slippers that I ran out of the house with.
Karen, who just found full-time work again last November, says her family has already been through so much. She says she went through a divorce and worked hard to create stability for her and her kids, one of whom is autistic and relies on a support dog. Karen is also a community leader and ran for city council last year in Langley to create positive changes for Indigenous people. Although she didn't get elected, she devotes her time to helping others in need. Ironically, her job was as a housing support worker, and now she is the one who needs help. This GoFundMe campaign has raised over $6,000 so far, but her family needs to start again. Her eldest daughter is graduating next month and is in need of a prom dress, along with replacing an entire household. Salvage crews are now on site, as well as fire investigators.
He said there's nothing salvageable in my bedroom or my closets or anything right now.
And just as we were interviewing Karen outside of her former home, a fire investigator was able to salvage their IDs and something else that means so much to her.
It was hard to see. I couldn't really. It's kind of wet, but I just kind of grabbed a few things
this
that were on the rack and
this is it.
I don't know. So, but it's I don't know what this other stuff is, but it's wet.
No, this is what I wanted. My second husband made it for me. We have 4 kids together. There's 4 kids there. I have 7 in all. He made this for me one night. I didn't even know the man could sew. I worked night shift in the hospitals in Seattle, and I came home one day and this was hanging up in our living room.
For now, the family is staying temporarily at a hotel until the end of the week, and then she's not sure what they will do. They were renting the home and did not have tenant insurance. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. Over 40 firefighters fought the blaze, and 1 firefighter was taken away after being injured by an exploding propane tank. Tina House, APTN National News, Langley.
Devastating stuff. Well, Canada's largest powwow is underway in Winnipeg. We'll have details on that and more coming up. Welcome back. A traditional skill as old as time itself. Moosehead tanning has kept First Nations people in the Yukon clothed and sheltered for thousands of years. But with the practice dwindling in recent decades, one First Nation in the territory is doing its part to teach the art of moose hide tanning to the next generation. Here's Sarah Connors with that story.
When it comes to moose hide tanning, every step is a labor of love. The labor-intensive, multi-step process usually takes several days to complete, but every step is worth it if it means keeping tradition alive. No one knows the process better than Kwanlin Dun elder Gertie Tom. The 92-year-old knowledge keeper literally wrote the book on moose hide tanning.
How to Tan Hide in the Native Way by Gertie Tom.
The esteemed expert began learning the skill when she was 8 years old. For her, it was a rite of passage.
Watching my mother, what she does, and then if you really want to learn, you got to put your mind into what you got. It is a lot of work.
Tom says when she was growing up, tanning was critical for survival.
So important because of the olden days, we got no store to buy clothes.
Today, moose hide tanning is practiced far less than it was just a few decades ago. It's why the Kwanlin Dun First Nation in Whitehorse held a camp for its citizens to relearn and reclaim the important traditional practice. That practice is close to Stephen Shorty's heart. Shorty is a drum maker who works with caribou hides. This is his first time working with moose hide.
It's a little bit different, easier, because caribou is a lot thinner than a moose. Like, as you can see, the moose, this is pretty thick.
Today, Shorty is scraping fur off the hide. It's a skill he's happy to pass on to younger generations.
That's how you know you're doing it right. Want to try a bite? I'm glad to see that they're looking forward to doing stuff like this, but it takes time to learn.
That learning isn't easy. Transforming animal skin into durable material is a time-consuming, tedious process. Luckily, today's efforts received Tom's seal of approval.
Yeah, that's what I know.
For outreach worker Troy Friday, seeing families come together is what makes events like these special.
To see this knowledge being passed down is extremely important. To see and learn words in traditional ways and practices is very important to keep our traditions and culture alive.
The importance of tradition isn't lost on Kiana Blake. The 17-year-old is learning to make a drumstick. It's a practice she's finding challenging but rewarding.
Yeah, my first stick, we had to throw it out because it was just way too crooked, but my second stick was very even.
Blake says seeing traditional practices firsthand makes her feel connected to her culture.
It's really cool seeing how our elders' traditions are being passed on to the younger generations and how we're going to be able to teach our younger youth.
It's young people like Blake that Tom hopes will carry on tradition.
This is what is dying off, just like our language. This is the same thing almost. That hopefully, like some of them want to learn, they keep on going what they show them here.
Sarah Connors, APTN National News, Whitehorse.
Canada's largest powwow kicked off Friday in Winnipeg, Manitoba, and youth were front and center at the Manitowabe Festival. The 4-day festival started off with young people and featured Indigenous influencers from TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Today's event is called Next Gen, meant to celebrate youth empowerment. And in the coming days, there will also have been fashion shows, a horse relay race, and traditional dancing. Executive Director Lisa Meaches says now is the time to come together as a people.
Today is testimony to how important it is for our community to come together in terms of reconciliation with ourselves, with other nations that they attend school with, or just hang out with, right? And so this festival provides that safe place to be able to do that.
And Manitowabe wraps up on Monday, so you still have some time to get out there and enjoy. That is all the time we have for your APTN National News for this weekend. For news anytime, visit our website, aptnnews.ca. I'm Dennis Ward. Thanks for being with us. Enjoy your long weekend.